Well, I don't need to tell you, I was embarrassed all hell. 'Cause all these school kids started looking at me, and the adults in church started looking at me like I was some kind of weirdo, you know. And then there was one other time. Now, he don't even know this, and I'm telling on him. And this just recently happened. Well, he came in one morning, and he had his top coat on, and the belt was hanging in one loop and dragging down the aisle the other loop. And when he got in the pew, well, his wife put it in the other loop, and I thought, well, here comes old Sloppy John. And so and I was in the pew right behind him. And when he was standing up, first of all, when we shook hands, he turned around to shake hands with me, and I had my hand out, and he goes back like that, and he said, "Do you have AIDS?" So then when he stood up, I laid a book down in the pew for when he sat down to sit on the book. Well, he sat on the book, and I thought, you know, he'd jump up and move the book or something. He didn't do nothing. So I thought, you know, so when he got up, I laid another book down. Well, his wife was the side of him, and his son was on the other side of him. They didn't see me, so I laid another book down. He sat down. He still didn't do nothing. And so then after going through that, I thought, well, I can understand why his wife's always got a sad look on her face. The guy's numb from his ass down. There's no question about it. So, of course, he's called on me for years in my business for advertising. And this one year he called on me. It was right before Christmas. And I told him, I said, I don't want the advertising, John. I said, I really can't afford it. And then he started giving me all these discounts. Of course, he's got all kinds of discounts, depending on who's out. And I said, no, I don't want your discounts. I'm not going to take any advertising out with you this year. I just can't afford any advertising this month. I said, I've had a bad month, and I'm not spending any more money. I don't want any advertising. Well, a few days before Christmas, and of course, he proceeded to leave. A few days before Christmas, here come this lady in from the Salvation Army, the Salvation Army, and she brought in a basket of fruit. Well, my secretary was there, and she comes up, and I don't know the lady from Adam, but I do know she belonged to the Salvation Army because she had her uniform on. And goes up to my secretary, and she says, is there a Ralph Leopard here? Of course, she didn't know me either. She said, yeah, there's Ralph Leopard here. And she says, well, I understand he's really in need. And we brought him a basket of fruit. And I said, are you serious? And I heard this conversation. I was sitting back in my desk. I get up, and I said, are you serious? She said, yeah, the gentleman asked me to bring this basket of fruit because you're really hard up and you really need this. I said, well, I won't have to tell you who I think that done this to me. But I said, since it's free, I'll take it. Well, I'll tell you, John, I love you. You're a great guy, and I wish you a lot of luck on your retirement, and I'm glad to hear that you're staying in Shelbyville.
Thank you, Ralph, and I think you do belong up here. I'm glad you came. Even though the price was right, that was good. Sometime back, you probably remember on the, I don't, but probably you do, many of you, on the north side of the Farmers Bank, there on Jackson Street, there was a customer window. You walk up and take care of your business. And Pat, I don't know, seeing you and Johnny sitting there kind of reminded me of the fact that I understand that you were about 3 years old at the time, and your dad had taken you down there, and you were just kind of riding with him probably on a Saturday morning, and he got out, parked the car, and left Pat in the car. John went up to the window to transact his business, and somebody inside wanted to discuss something with him and wanted him to come in and discuss some activity that was being planned. And John went in. Conversation went on, and John, never being at a loss for words, I'm sure prolonged it a great deal. And the individual finally asked, how's your family? He said, well, I'll let you know in a minute. I'm going to go check. John runs out to the car, and there's no Pat in the car. And Pat's walking on down Jackson Street. Some lady had seen him down there. He was kind of bawling and one thing and another, and she was walking around, and John heard the sobbing and so forth, and it was Pat. But the kicker to the whole thing is Irene didn't know a thing about it until, a year and a half later. And at a gathering, the employee of the bank mentioned that incident where she was glad that John was able to get the Pat before he got too far away, and Irene had never heard it, and came back to John and tried to be somewhat under control, and John says, well, I didn't think there was anything to worry about it. We had another one at home. Here's a long time associate at the radio station, and I think maybe I guess we're all right, of John Hartnett, came up from Tell City to join WSBL. Jack Boyce, our next roaster. Jack?
Is that the microphone from the new radio station?
That's it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I think Irene and John Jr. and Pat should be recognized here tonight. Let's give a nice round of applause. Note of a situation of John being on time. John was on time tonight. First time I came to WSVL just to visit, and that was in the spring of 1967. For the 3 succeeding months leading up to July of that year, he was late for every meeting, late every time, but they said, well, John will be here. One night was emceeing the post-prom in 1967 at the Shelbyville High School, but that was just understood. John told the story to several people that, and I guess it was Johnny was just a baby. Irene's mother was visiting at home. Come up from Somerset? Yeah. And John was going to take advantage of a situation which he can so well. The baby's in the other room sleeping. Irene, her mother, John in the family room, whatever it was in the house. John goes out into the bedroom, gets the baby blanket that little Johnny's always carried in, takes 2 boxing gloves, puts them in the blanket, wraps it up real nice and neat, comes out into the living room and asks Irene mother, would you like to see Johnny? Comes out, there goes the blanket, the boxing gloves across the room, screams and yells. She's shaking her head yes. Only John. Several years ago, there was an Easter egg hunt at the Bel Air Shopping Center. WSVL sponsored that. Filled all those little plastic Easter eggs with all the jelly beans. John ate several. Were you the one he ate? Were you the one that ate half of them and put the other half back in? Yeah. We're getting ready for cut the big string across the parking lot to the grassy area to let the thousands of kids, and there was, run across to that area to go hunt the eggs. There's the ambulance there with the EMTs on board, ready to blow the siren just a moment that string is cut so the kids can run out. John borrows someone's pocket knife, gets it out, gets to the string, looks over at the ambulance driver, saws that string right in two, wonders, why is the string red? He forgot to remove his finger from under it. Good thing the ambulance people were there that day. John was calling play-by-play at the Donald L. Johnson ballpark, the Babe Ruth site, several years ago. Reverend Harlow, you all right? Ralph's a tough act to follow. Still thinking about Ralph. John's calling play-by-play on a Little League ball game. Catcher's behind the plate. He's down in position. Pitcher winds up, fires one down through there. just misses the heel of the mitt and hits the catcher right where it shouldn't. The catcher lets out a yell. One thing, Jesus Christ! John didn't miss a stroke on the air play-by-play on the air. The microphone, he said, listen, that young man, he's saying a prayer. John's the kind of guy who reminds me of my neighbor. First time he took me fishing, my neighbor did, I got to row the boat. Told what a privilege it would be. Shelbyville High School football field, 1967, one of the home games for the Golden Bears. The two-way radio goes out between the press box, and this is the one on South Meridian Street. They didn't have the new one yet. Two-way radio goes out. How are we going to get the play-by-play and the signal back to the station? John says, let's use the payphone in the concession stand. It's down at the end of the field. There's the field. We'll call the play-by-play from there. Fine. We get there and we can't see anything. John says, Jack, you run out there and see what the play is and bring it back to me. First couple of plays, it's all right. I'm getting winded. We start missing a few plays. Finally got it. I don't know what I imagine John on his way to ad-lib got it through with no problem. People couldn't tell that anything was awry at that point. One of John's benevolent moods, and he always has one, believe me. John's driving up State Road 9 to I-74 one day. There's a hitchhiker standing out there. John pulls over. Guy looks like a hitchhiker, no home, needed some shoes, needed some food, needed some money. John provided all of it. Gave him some spending money, bought him a meal, took him home, gave him a pair of his shoes, took the guy back up the interstate. Where are you going? He says, Cincinnati. John says, I'll take you there. John drives the guy there. Irene's fussing at him. She's fussing. John, you shouldn't have done that. You'll never get rid of that guy. He'll be back. 1 week later, John's driving up State Road 9. Guy came back for a second helping. Final story, just about a month ago. John decides to take the car through the car wash in Shelbyville. Good idea, Irene? No, not a good idea. Things happen so quickly in moments like that. You get right there to the car wash and you get your wheels of the car right up to the front, ready for the things to come up underneath to catch it, to pull it through, and John's talking to the guy. And all of a sudden the car is caught, the car is through, the window's still down. Through the car wash. Was it in drive? Going like a bat out of somewhere. Didn't know what happened. This was just last month. That's not an old story. That's enough of that. Oh, talking about the noses. John's getting his nose operated on at Indianapolis Hospital somewhere, going to the doctor up there, getting the polyps removed that grow from an allergy that he has. Did you bring those cute little masks tonight? No. You got those cute little masks. The girl, the nurse, the doctor is talking to John about the operation that's taking place, and he says something about did she stop at the candy store and so on, or could you get me some of those? She says, what? He said, lollipops. I guess this is, on myself, John, can all be summed up like Bob Hope says. Thanks for the memories.
You be quiet. Thank you, Jack. One of the things Jack was talking about reminded me of another little tale, the broadcasting of the Babe Ruth game. And I was talking to one of the players, I think it was on the Sting softball team out at the Blue River Park. They were playing a ball game early on a weekend morning, and think anybody was there other than some of the people that were participating, but John wandered in, and there were about 4 bleachers behind the backstop there, and nobody's sitting there at all. And John sits down. He starts doing the wave. I'll tell you, that's tough. Now, that is tough when you're the only one there. So John stands up, and his hands, this fellow's telling me about, he stands up and throws his hands up in the air and looks down there and then kind of watches them come right back, and then he goes up like this. And you can believe something like that. Hey, this guy's wacky. Fred Kramer, a business associate, a long time of John. And Fred, I'm sure you'll have some very interesting things to say.